The following podcast is brought to you by Iconic Nation Media. Welcome to Season 5 of Level Up Podcast. I'm your host, Kimberly Levy. I'm here to guide you on a journey of personal growth and fulfillment. Join me as we delve into the challenges of both business and personal life, aiming to discover our true selves and connect more deeply with the world around us. On this podcast, we'll explore the topics that inspire and empower us to become the best version of ourselves. From book reviews to interviews with iconic individuals, we'll have insightful conversations that resonate with your journey. And a big thank you to our sponsors, the Boys and Girls Club of America, Greater Conejo Valley, and Levy's Deli for supporting the show and helping us bring these valuable discussions to you. Please share, rate, and review the podcast. And thank you so much for listening. You can also leave your comments at Kimberly Levy on social media. Thank you for your feedback and thank you for listening. Hello and welcome back. Hello everyone and welcome back. Welcome back to my show. It is Kimberly Levy. I've been in a ditch of working like a lunatic. You guys, I've been so busy working. I haven't even had a chance to sit down with you and chat. I'm failing at my own podcast while launching everybody else's. So shame on me, shame on me, shame on me. But I am so happy to be here with you. You guys, I'm going to break some stuff down for you. And I also want to give you a quick heads up before we talk about some fun stuff that I'm going to release two different episodes. So one episode I'm going to release is about how you can help with the fire victims. And a friend of mine has this incredible organization. It's a nonprofit. It's a 501c3, which is a nonprofit organization where she basically provides clothes, and she talks about how she started as a home organizer and then it turned into a totally it's still that business, but she also expanded it into this nonprofit. And anyway, it's incredible. So that episode, I'm going to drop it this week also, maybe as a bonus, but if you are someone that still is looking for ways to help for these fire victims, she basically said she needs people to drive and drop off clothes. So something we had encountered around that was they don't have enough people to distribute the clothes that were donated. And that seemed to be the theme kind of around all the nonprofits. I'd called 10 or 15 of them to see if we could place more clothes and, items and things for the victims. And they basically were like, we are shutting down our donation center for now because it's not that we can't take more clothes. It's like we don't have enough people to sort it and distribute it. So her business came up with a solution. So I'm going to be sharing that with you in a different episode. And if that's something that is compelling or something you want to help with, then certainly you'll really like that episode. Anyway, okay. Oh, another episode I'm going to share is, so I was actually interviewed on Positive Traction podcast, which is one of the podcasts I have on my network with Coach Henry Castro. And they had me go downtown to the crypto.com arena. And there's this awesome studio down there. And we filmed. They had a full day. He flew in from Austin and they invited me to be interviewed because his show was kind of like mindset business and is all like interview format. And so anyway, I got to be interviewed and it was really cool. So I'm not normally the one being interviewed on his show. So it was really an honor to be on that show and on that episode. So I was thinking I would probably republish it here for those of you that might be interested in hearing that interview. And okay, I wanted to talk to you about the Super Bowl. I never talked to you guys about the Super Bowl. So Super Bowl, what happened? I don't even know where to begin with this, to be perfectly honest with you, because it's all so crazy. But essentially, I'm going to leave it broad. You guys can piece it together if you care. But essentially, I have some clients that work in the NFL space. And yeah, they bullied me into going to the Super Bowl. It was very last minute. I was going to go and then we weren't going to go. And then the last minute, me only ended up going for my team. And it was insane. like literally insane. So basically, we went. Okay, when I went for work. So I wasn't going for to watch the game. To be very clear, I was not going to like go watch a football game. I was going for work, and so with that in mind, I want to tell you that I actually have never watched a full football game like from start to finish ever until this last Super Bowl. And the reason for that is because I was already in New Orleans and then I had flown home to be with Brian and the kids because they're huge Eagles fans, which is super random, I know, because like Brian's from LA, as am I. And so he went to school in Philly. And so he's always been a huge Eagles fan. So he made our kids Eagles fans, etc. Um, so yes, so I kind of am like, meh, whatever. I don't really have like a team necessarily. Like I like the Rams. I remember the who was it? Shoot, the one that went to Vegas. Oh, Raiders. I had a Raiders hat when I was like 12 or something before they moved again. But anyway, so yeah, I'm not really a fan. I really don't know who's who unless I'm like friends with you or something, and you happen to be involved in the NFL. I genuinely don't know what's going on, don't know the rules, etc. So it's a little bit comical in the sense that I got pulled into this world, but I have to tell you, and I'll tell you kind of the whole thing, but I got to tell you, it was lovely. And I think I might decide to become like a football fan. I don't know which team or whatever, but you know, um, okay. So I'm going to just tell you all about it. So last minute, I end up going, and there's something like they have media credentials there. And it's like, think of it like a conference for every single major media outlet that's out there. So whether it's Fox Sports, ESPN, iHeart, every which media outlet is there. So this is like these are like, the big major outlets. So I fly to New Orleans on a Tuesday, and I only wanted to go Tuesday through Thursday because my husband has our three kids by himself at this point. My mother in law is able to help for one day, but he works. He's not a stay at home dad. He runs multiple businesses. So I basically was like, I need to get in and out. I just want to see what this is all about and do some recon. And then next year, it's going to be the Super Bowl is going to be in San Francisco. So I can decide if it makes sense for me and my broader team to go next year. But let me just like see what this is about. So I'm going with my clients, my friends, whatever. And so I fly in, and like our media credentials are like the all access ones where I guess I could have gone to like opening night, which by the way, what's opening night? I don't even know. I think there's all the players and owners. I don't know. So they're like, "Oh, you have access to opening night and all this kind of stuff." I'm like, "That's great, but like I'm not coming. I'm not coming till Tuesday." So there's all these like spectacular fancy events. I'm not there for that at all. Like, I mean, I would go if it like made sense or whatever. And if I was invited, of course, like what an honor, don't get me wrong. But like, this was not for me to go out and like party in New Orleans kind of a trip. This is for me to like figure out what is Super Bowl? How does my company fit into it? Where can I add any value to my clients? Like, how can I like make this a valuable experience for me and my clients? Essentially, that's why I'm there. And like networking and like just meeting all different people, whatever. So I really have no idea what to expect. And I fly in and go get we stay at a hotel that's just like a no name hotel because that's where my kind of crew was staying. And so they were just right across from the convention center, which is where Media Row is. And so I just like kept it really simple. And anyway, I start getting all these emails. You get all kinds of emails about press conferences and events and all kinds of stuff. Like when you're in, I guess, when you're in and you get all this information. It was really interesting how much they over communicated in a great way. Like, I mean this as a compliment. I was really surprised how well orchestrated it was. And they tell you, okay, the Eagles are doing their press conference at 8:30 at this hotel this day. And then, the Chiefs are doing their press conference at this hotel this day, and they tell you exactly who's going to be there, and it's just very well orchestrated, really great communication. It was really interesting. So keep in mind, I have no idea what I'm supposed to be wearing. I really don't even know what events I'm going to be at. I'm not sure, but I'm thinking, well, I have worked at the big studios before. I worked at Warner Brothers when I was in business school at USC as an MBA intern. And like, it's just a very casual vibe, right? Like jeans, t-shirt, chill. Unless you're like a TV executive or whatever from 20 years ago, they were the only ones on the lot that would ever wear like full suits. So yeah, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go with it. So I basically don't bring any fancy clothes and don't plan on going to any parties or anything. And was hoping to meet one of my clients and really good friends, Leonard Wheeler, for dinner, and his beautiful wife, Kim, who I never got to meet them in person. Like, I haven't met them in person yet. And I like talk to him every week, and he's literally become like one of my favorite humans on this planet. He's just such an incredible guy. By the way, shout out to Leonard. We launched his podcast. This guy is spectacular. He is so officially he's the co executive director of the NFL Legends, which is, I guess it's like the body of the NFL that when the athletes are going to retire, they they basically are the ones to help them like re-enter into like society, you know. They help them with like financial stuff, mental health, so on and so forth, because a lot of these athletes, their entire lives have been committed to their sport, and it's very disorienting for them to be retiring, and they're young. And I'll tell you more about that, but you forget like these guys are young, you know. So he is big time, and he's there for like 8 or 10 days or something. And they did all kinds of cool, just so many incredible events for the local community, which I did not know the NFL does all of this stuff. I mean, you guys have to go listen to his show, okay? So look up The Winning Edge by Leonard Wheeler, and he will kind of give you, like, you'll hear me talking to him and he'll give you the behind the scenes. But in short, he used to play in the NFL. Now he's an entrepreneur. He's been working with the NFL for 25 years, and he's like a business coach, and he's just like one of those really inspirational people. You can check him out on Instagram and TikTok too. He's a dad, he's a father. He's one of those people that just like you're just so drawn to him, and he just has such a good soul. He came from the projects, like his story is wild. Like he is just Ugh, he elevates me and he'll elevate you, which is the entire point of his podcast. So we just launched his podcast, and he's going to start bringing on all kinds of like his fancy friends, and whatever, all those, all the who's who of that world. Like I don't even know who any of these people are, to be honest, but um, you're going to get a lot of value from his podcast because he is so motivating and insightful, and just somebody that will like really inspire you and like make you laugh and entertain you and whatever. So go check out his podcast, by the way. I'm so honored that I got to launch his show and then I get to work with him. Um, and then my other friend, client, whatever, is Roman Gabriel, and that's who I was there with. And there's just a lot that we're working on together, separate from podcasting, separate from football. And you guys will start to see a lot more of what that's all about. I really can't talk about it, but it's pretty big stuff. So you'll see. But anyway, so that's the context why I'm there. So Roman is staying at a hotel near the convention center. So I land Tuesday at like 12:30 or 1. So by like 1:30 or so, I am in New Orleans. I'm at the hotel. It's nothing fancy. It's the Spring Hill Suites. Like we got a sick deal because they also do this whole thing where they'll like block out rooms for the NFL like media. And I guess there's like minimums usually for, you have to pay for like the whole week, whether or not you're staying. But then of course, Roman's been going to the Super Bowl for like 29 years. So he's got all these different resources, la la la. Anyway, we got a great deal, close hotel, nothing to write home about on that. Okay, fine. So he's there with our videographer, Frank. And Frank's awesome. Okay, so I get there, put down my bags, get my room, whatever, and go to get my media credentials. You walk, and they're like, oh, I walk to the convention center 2 blocks down. They're like, okay, you have to go to J. I'm like, what does that even mean? Okay, I'm just gonna, like, I'm like asking random people, like, where do I go? Because I see they have their badges. So anyway, go all the way down. It must be, and I am not exaggerating, a mile. Like it is incredibly far, which is fine. I don't mind walking. I'm just kind of setting the stage for you guys. And it's such a trek down there. And you get there and it's like all techie. And they're like, do you have a day pass or a week pass or all access or whatever they call them? Like the all access one, whatever. So I go in and it's like this whole it's just like very well orchestrated. Like there's multiple triage lines and they scan your ID and you already had to submit your social and they have you on the system. Like this is like kind of high security. Like I think it's like FBI claim. I don't know. Whatever. I don't even know the inner workings, but it was a thing. It was a thing. You're not allowed to take pictures there. Oh, so anyway, they scan, they print your badge, and then there's all these rules. Like one of the big rules is you cannot show your media access badge on social media or they will remove you. And I had no idea about that. And I'm so glad. Like, thankfully, I was with people that knew this well. So, like, any of the pictures where you see me, like, there's one on my Instagram where I'm standing with Lee Steinberg, who, by the way, Lee Steinberg, if you don't know who he is, he's a very, very famous sports agent, like, pretty much the world's most famous sports agent. And he was there, and Roman knows him really well. And we were interviewing with him and this and that. And anyway, when you see that picture of me and him, I had to like black out my badge because like they would literally blacklist me otherwise if I posted my badge. Because I don't know, it must be like people out there will like recreate your badge. Like who's gonna take the time to do these things? I don't know, but I guess people do and they're crazy. So anyway, if you see me with a blacked out badge or my badge is like backwards, that's the reason. And like it's hard to remember that too when you're taking pictures with people because you're like, there's so much media. So it's like hard to hide it sometimes. But anyway, whatever. So you get the idea. It's like very high security, all that kind of stuff. So then I go walk down to like H or wherever, which is essentially what they call it. Used to be called Radio Row. Now they call it Media Row. And I go in there and oh, okay, so again, you go through all this security like you're going through the airport, right? Like all your bags, all your stuff through on the belt, the whole bit. You go through the metal detector, everything. So finally get in there and I'm walking and I look and I see these like police officer looking guys, but I'm like, they look like they're out of a movie. Like these aren't real police officers because like they are wearing these like hats that are like tilted perfectly forward and like there are these big strong dudes and like I'm like, oh, these must be like actors. But I'm like, that's weird. Why would they have those guys? I don't get this. And then I like continued to stare and I was like, oh, wait, these are real police officers. This is how they dress in New Orleans, which I thought was adorable. It was so stinking cute. I mean, these guys are like, don't get me wrong, they're badasses, but I'm sitting there going, oh my God, you guys look darling. Like as if they're like my child in a play. I'm like looking at them like a mom. Like they are just, I was literally laughing because I was so surprised. I'm like, no one in LA would ever rock these uniforms. And like these guys looked so adorable. So of course I had to like tell them and then take a picture of them because, I had to show you guys, which by the way, I just remembered I've not posted those pictures. So yeah, you'll see what I mean. But like they were dressed like, to me, it looked like it was out of like a old Western movie or something, or like, I don't know, Toy Story. I don't know. Okay, sorry. Okay, I'm going to offend them. Okay, so anyway, so it's like basically I get there and it's like apparently not one of the busy days, which I kind of knew in advance, which is kind of why I wanted to go at like that day because I didn't want it to be like too crazy yet. So I find Roman, I find Frank, and like they're doing a huge campaign. He's going to every which media outlet. I'm helping organize all like his like slots with all these different media outlets. So it's basically all of these major radio stations, which by the way, I did not realize how big radio still is, I guess. Like maybe it's just I'm too millennial or something, but like there was a lot of radio stations there. Like a lot of local radio stations that maybe had like, 6 different geographies or whatever. And it was just really interesting because I had no idea how many radio stations would be there. It was just shocking to me. So you had all these different radio stations. You had Fox Sports, you had ESPN, you had Sirius, every major network there. The who's who was there. And by the way, what's so funny about the who's who is I don't even know who's who. Literally, I don't even know who these people are, but I do recognize the logos and I do know that this is a very big deal. So the whole time I'm kind of like, it's funny because I'm walking around and I know this is huge, but like I really genuinely have no idea who is like I'm there, but I don't really get it. You know what I'm saying? You got me. So okay. So anyway, we're there and it's not that crazy. And Roman is telling me, and there's Julie and Roman and Barbara and all these different people. And they're like, oh, yeah, just wait till tomorrow. Just wait till Thursday. Just wait till Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's going to get crazy. I'm like, okay. They're like, I'm like, who comes? They're like, everybody, anybody, celebrities, actors, agents, um, football players, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, cool. So there's also a lot of big podcasts. And I'm like, okay, cool. All right. Like, and everyone sets up their booth. So it's really like any other conference that you would see, except for the fact that it's, you know, live streaming, live broadcasting of whatever around the Super Bowl that these people want to talk about. And, there's NFL alumni, there's NFL health. I got to meet everyone. It was awesome. And anyway, so what I noticed was, so wait, that night, was it the first night or the second night? Oh, we leave once we're done with the day around 5 o'clock. We had to go get like hard drives and some other stuff. So Roman and I, we start walking, and we end up walking for like what feels like eternity. And his hip is like not doing well because I guess the chairs were like really not agreeing with him. And we're walking, and in LA, things are zoned. So, like, when you're walking in a neighborhood, you're not going to just stumble upon a CVS pharmacy, for example. Like, it's zoned. So, like, all of the commercial type stuff is in a retail strip mall, and then you have neighborhoods. Like, they're not intertwined. And I forget that other places in the world and in the nation specifically, they don't have that. Like, it's mixed. And so we're looking for this Office Depot, and Frank was like, I got to get some work done and like put everything away from like today and like get all the footage like cleaned up, blah, 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 before we go out. So me and Roman were like, okay, we're going to go get like the hard drives or whatever. So we're walking, 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 cannot find this damn Office Depot. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. So we're like about to quit, and we've walked all around this building. And I'm like, wait, there's one more side we haven't finished looking at. Like, let's just see if it's around here. We're in the middle of a neighborhood. We're in the middle of like literally people's houses. And I look over and I'm like, is that the Office Depot? I'm so confused. So finally, right before we were about to quit, we find the Office Depot. And let me tell you, it's nothing like the ones in LA. It was not stocked well. It was not staffed well. It was just kind of there, like it was limping. So we did end up getting what we needed. We did end up getting an Uber back, but it was just a very interesting experience to like walk around New Orleans and like just, yeah, it's just different. It's very charming, by the way, too. It was very charming, very cute, but just very different. So we end up going that night to, was it that night? God, I'm getting my days mixed up now. I think it was that night we end up going to like a Super Bowl party. Keep in mind, I have nothing fancy. I have no idea there's going to be a red carpet. I don't know anything. So I just show up in my jeans, which is why you see me with jeans in a red carpet. Yeah, there's other women there that are like, they must have gotten like glam, for the night, hair and makeup, the whole bit. Roman knows every 5 steps, this guy knows somebody new, whether they're an NFL player, whether they're an owner, whether they're an agent, whether they're some huge media outlet, a big brand, whatever it is. This guy knows absolutely everyone because he was raised in the NFL. He played in the NFL. His dad is a famous quarterback for the NFL, and he does all this charitable work. And him and his wife and his dad, who just passed away last April, they have dedicated their lives to charitable causes. Like, so they're really, really well connected. But like, when it's like, I mean, you could tell this is like real relationships of people that he's had for a very long time. These are not just like acquaintance, kiss, kiss, kiss. It's like he knows every single one of these people. So I'm walking around the Super Bowl with basically the mayor of the Super Bowl. It's so funny. I was like, this is crazy. So keep in mind, I continue to have no idea who most of these people are. And like, I can only tell if it's a player if they're, oh, actually, yes. So this is a surprising thing I wanted to tell you. So I only know who they are because he tells me later or like right before whatever we meet them. So anyway, it was I'm going to tell you the 2 most surprising parts of the Super Bowl. So 2 things were the most surprising. Number 1 was how giant these guys are. Now, at first, you're going to be like, what are you talking about? Of course, they're huge. They play football. But no, no, no. You don't understand. And I actually found this stat out, so it made more sense. But I guess look back, I don't know, like however long ago, back in the day, let's just say the average football player was like 6'3", and now the average football player is like 6'7". So when I say big, I'm not talking about just big and beefy. Like I'm talking like tall. So I'm 5'8" and a quarter, and I didn't have heels because, like, again, I didn't even know I was gonna go somewhere that like would warrant heels. I had no idea. I was going to like Super Bowl parties and stuff. But anyway, I'm there in like my jeans and my flats, and I'm staring up at these guys. Like the entire party is full of these like NFL athletes, right? And I don't know who any of them are or anything, but I'm chit chatting with everybody. But my neck hurts. By the time the night's done, my neck hurts. Like these guys are tall. They're like basketball player tall. And I did not realize that. I mean, I don't think on average they're as tall as basketball players, to be clear, but they're way taller than I thought. Plus, my friends that are in the NBA, they're like, more lanky, like they're strong. Like, I'm not saying they're like scrangly or anything, but like, these guys are football players. So obviously they're like super beefy, they're super strong, and they're huge. So, like, that was the first most surprising thing. I don't know. I thought they were more like 6'3", maybe like, big dudes, but not like tall. Like they're like buildings. Okay. So that was number one. That was the most surprising thing I can tell you. And then the second thing that was so interesting was how they all know each other. It's so weird. They all knew each other, and I'm like, "Oh, it does make sense." Because when you talk to them, they're like, "Oh, yeah, I know every guy here because I played on this team with that guy and that one on this one, and then we played, we did combine together, and then we did this thing together, and like whatever they do." So like these guys, they know each other because a lot of these guys, they get traded and they move around all different teams, and it's just a very small community. And so what was so surprising was that they all knew each other. And it's like a sense of like, you sense that they all respect each other. Like it feels like a warm brotherhood. And it just feels like a tight knit community. And I was talking to Roman afterwards, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, it doesn't matter like how long you played, if you were good or not, if you got injured, whatever your story was. Like once you're in it, like you're part of like the brotherhood essentially, right?" And it was just such a nice, really like genuinely like a nice, warm community. It was so surprising because that's not something that I could have ever known if I didn't like feel it and witness it, and they're like, "Oh, hey man, it's this guy and that guy." And, it was just like, it was really cool. And yeah, so anyway, so many really interesting, great people there, different, people in the industry doing all different roles, attorneys, agents, PR, reputation management. I mean, all different people. And we went to this fabulous restaurant, which that reminds me, I have to reach out. I met some of the most lovely ladies there. And one of the ladies, she had a restaurant. Her and her husband owned the restaurant that we were at for the party. And it was really nice. It was across from like Caesars. I'll have to look it up. But anyway, I don't remember. But it was just a really, like, the food was delicious. The drinks were awesome. It was super fun, like, just talking to all different people in this industry, and just kind of like learning about people and whatever. People from all over the country. Really neat. So, yeah, that was that. And then I kind of like was like, "Okay, I'm done with this. I'm tired. I'm not one to be out like partying late these days anymore. I'm, mama three, tired mama three, right?" Um, so yeah, so that was kind of that. And, it took us an hour to leave because of course every time we take another 5 steps to leave, Roman knows another 27 people. They know him. We got to take pictures. It's like, it was crazy. So, anyway, all that to say, so many lovely humans. Really, really enjoyed it. Truly just enjoyed it. And yeah, so then we did a full day of just interviews all day long. Um, his main PR woman, Julie, who's awesome. She has a bunch of clients that were there. So she was really busy. So then I was kind of stepping in and helping orchestrate interviews with Frank on the camera. And it was just, it was like a whirlwind. It was a whirlwind experience, and just meeting people, media folks from all over, made so many great contacts. And then we got to go to dinner with Leonard and Kim. And again, the Uber, or was it? Yeah, the Uber takes us to the restaurant, and we're sitting out front. And I'm like, "Oh, this is someone's house. This isn't like, where's the restaurant?" And then the driver's like, "Oh, no, no, this is the restaurant." And we're like, what? And we look up and we're like, oh, this is the restaurant. And it turns out it was a converted house. It'd been there for 60 years, 60 years. The owners have been there for, since like the 80s or something. They'd taken it over from a previous owner. Um, Amazing food, amazing company. And there was like 8 of us, I think, at that dinner. 6 of us, 2, 4, 2, 8, 2, 4, 6. Oh, it was just 6 of us. Yeah, it was 6 of us. And it was just awesome. It was really awesome. I had some wine. I had the what's the oh, gumbo. I had gumbo. Oh my god, it was so good. It wasn't shrimp. I was thinking shrimp gumbo, remember? Anyway, yeah, so I had gumbo for the first time. It was so good. Had fish cuz like New Orleans is known for really great fresh seafood. That was spectacular. The portions were insane. I kept eating and eating and eating and didn't even look like there was a dent in the food. It was crazy. We ordered the best dessert, the best. We ordered like 8. I think we ordered like 95% of the dessert menu. But yeah, so that was that night and those were my 2 nights in New Orleans. And then on the way back, so then the last day I was there, again, more like media, more people, more networking, more this, more that on Media Row. And then Leonard had told me, he's like, hey, make sure, he's like, let me make sure you can get into the NFL experience. That's really like going to be huge. And you should FaceTime your kids. Like they're going to love it. And then I guess I already had access through my credentials, whatever. So anyway, so on the way out, I left and there's something called the NFL experience where supposedly it's like all this crazy swag and all kinds of stuff. So I go there. They have like the Heisman Trophy, every single ring from every single Super Bowl. They have helmets that are decorated. It was like Disneyland for the NFL. It was insane. They had every kind of jersey. They had like, I don't even know what you would call them, like these like 3D experiences. There was multiple levels. I mean, it was like you could have spent literally 6 hours there. I kid you not. There was families, there was kids. They have kids clothing sections, adults, blah, blah, blah. So Brian was like, make sure you get the kids' jerseys. Oh, I forgot a big part of the story. Okay, I knew I was forgetting one other part. Um, well, anyway, so, okay, let me just finish about the NFL experience and then I'm going to tell you about the big part. Okay, so I get the kids' jerseys. It has like Super Bowl 59 etched on there. I got myself a jersey. I've never once had it. And so on and so forth. So get everybody a bunch of cool swag that like you can only get at the Super Bowl. And FaceTimed Brian because the kids were in school at the time. Anyway, I had to run, almost missed my flight because they started shutting down all of downtown and they shut it down. Like they shut down all the streets because now it's like really almost Super Bowl time. So people are like flooding into New Orleans at this point. Police security everywhere. Just really just a lot, just a whole lot going on. It's a whole lot. That's what I can tell you. Um, by the grace of God, was able to get a private driver who, by the way, ends up being the private driver from, I don't know, some big Chiefs player. I don't know who these people are. So, um, turns out I get this private, like I was like, an Uber's never going to get through. I'm going to miss my flight. And then turns out, so I asked the valet stand, do you have a private car I could call? Do you have anything, like anybody to help me get to the airport, which is only 18 minutes away normally. And it was going to take 45 minutes. And so he had this guy's info and he's like, he just left 10 minutes ago. I'm like, crap, I'm going to miss my flight. And it's a bigger problem than you think because you can't easily get a hotel. That's the problem. So it's not only that you miss your flight, it's that you also have nowhere else to stay. So it becomes a serious problem if I miss my flight. Not to mention, I want to get home to my 3 kids and help my husband with them and all the things and work and this and that. So anyway, it turns out that driver, by the grace of God, was able to get back in time, pick me up, and then was running to go pick up the Chief's family, like multiple family members, the girlfriend or whatever, and the mom, the dad, the brother, the this one. And anyway, so that was super random and funny, but thank God for that guy. I do have his info for next Super Bowl because I guess he goes to all the Super Bowls with them, and he said he would bring his Sprinter van if I bring my team next year, which is really cool. Um, But there was one other really big part of the story I missed. I knew I was forgetting something. So one of the mornings I did go to the press conference for the Eagles. So the reason why I did that was because, well, one, I'd never seen a press conference for anything ever. And I was like, what is this like behind the scenes? Like, I've seen them on TV, but like, I've never been to one, you know? So anyway, um, the night before I had left, Charlotte, my daughter, she goes, Mommy, can you please get our jerseys signed? I'm like, that's a tall ask. I'm like, and I was like, no, I don't think I can do that. Like, I don't think, how am I going to do that? Like, I have no idea. So I'm not promising my kids anything. And I'm a little bit like, I'm like, this is weird. So anyway, yes. So I end up bringing their jerseys and getting them signed, and we got a lot of player signatures. And I can't say all the details as to when and how, because yeah. But anyway, ended up coming home with all these signed jerseys, and it was just awesome because they were just so excited. And then separately, I had also been to that press conference and was able to meet all these Eagles guys. I saw the coach do his press conference. I saw Hertz do his press conference. And then next door, like right when they're done, then they have all these other football players that sit there, and you just go up and you interview them and you talk to them. And so that's what I got to do. I got to interview them, talk to them. And, you realize these are like young kids. And one of the guys, he's from Calabasas. So I was like, oh, let me know when you're in town. Like, I would love to go to lunch with you at our family restaurant, because he was talking about a podcast, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, these guys were so darn cute, which is so weird to say about football players, I'm sure. But like, they really were adorable. And I was like, oh, are you guys nervous? Like, are you nervous? How are you feeling to go into the big game? And they're like, nope, we're just going to leave it to God. We're going to just do our thing. Can't get nervous, can't avoid it. Like, we just got to go keep our, and I'm like, they were probably media trained for this, which I keep forgetting to ask Leonard about. But anyway, they were just sweet. They really were little sweetie pies. I have to tell you guys, these guys were good dudes. And I really enjoyed getting to meet some of them, even though, again, I had no idea who these people were until I came back home. So I get home, thankfully. It's like pouring, complete downpour. Our plane was like circling. I was getting nervous the whole bit. Anyway, long story short, I get home super late. I'm exhausted, as you guys can imagine. I'd been up for like 20 hours. And finally, when it's Sunday and it's Super Bowl day, I'm like, I'm going to watch some of this, because Brian and the kids are like wearing their jerseys and they're so excited about it. And they're like, just losing their minds, like the Eagles. And I guess, the Eagles had played the Kansas City Chiefs 2 years ago and lost. And when they lost, oh, I did tell one of the players this. So Charlotte like lost her mind. She was crying like you had never seen. You would have thought her arm fell off when the Eagles lost the Super Bowl. And I told a couple of the players, and I was like, no pressure. I'm just letting you know we're really rooting for you. And I really hope my daughter isn't crying. They're like, tell your daughter that we're so sorry. And if we don't win, we're also going to be crying with her. And so we were giggling about it. But anyway, yeah, so we sat down and actually watched my first football game. And I was asking so many questions. I mean, look, I've watched football, I've seen it. Like, I get the idea of like the 10-yard thing and like 4 plays to get, a down and all that stuff. But there's so many questions, so many. And my questions were basic. To be completely clear, it's embarrassing. Like, when they kick the ball, does the other team have to catch it? Well, and I'm still not even totally sure the answers of those. Brian knows all the rules, but I just don't remember all the answers. But anyway, the idea is your girl watched her first football game this Super Bowl. They won, which was great. The kids were happy. Brian was happy. It was my mother-in-law's birthday, and all was good in the world. So, yeah. And if you do want to hear more like real juicy behind the scenes from like people that are like super involved, like on the administrative side, I would listen to Leonard's Winning Edge episode 2. And he talked more about it. Now, I didn't want to, we don't talk about like the details of like the who's who, like name dropping, all that stuff. That's not it at all. But like, you get a whole different view on the Super Bowl when you listen to his show too, which was really cool. So if you're interested in hearing more from that lens, like it was really, really captivating to me to kind of understand what the NFL does for the community and just yeah, it was really something. I have to tell you guys, I was super impressed. So that was my Super Bowl experience. I'm pretty sure I am now getting roped in to go at least for the foreseeable couple years because it's in San Francisco next year and then it's in LA again, which is going to be awesome. And I'm really excited to get to be a part of it. And really, I want to get to do some of the community service stuff too, because I just love what they're doing. I think that it makes all of the glitz and glam so much more meaningful. Like, to really contribute. I love it when people with power and money and fame actually use it for like tactical, practical good for people that really need the help. Like that made me really happy. And, because there's so much money involved in the NFL, you hear about all the money like that people make and this and that. And it's like, just to like, I don't know, just to see that just really made me feel so good and like so much better about all of it. I was like, this is like a really good community. Like I like this. Um, so anyway, if you want to hear more about exactly the details, like I can't speak to it because I wasn't there, but I did get to learn about it with you guys. So check that out. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed my little Super Bowl moment. And I posted a couple pictures, not a ton, but there was some cool people, really cool dudes, cool people, cool men and women both. But most importantly, I was so grateful. I was so grateful to get to be with Roman and Frank and Leonard and Kim and the Ruckers and others that I got to meet. It was just, I don't know, it was such a privilege and such an honor to get to be a part of it. And I really genuinely never in a million, trillion, bazillion, jillion years thought that I would be a part of something like that. And I was really impressed with the entire community. So that's all I got for you guys. Thank you for listening. Have a great one. Bye. All right. That is it for today. Thank you very much for listening, and be sure to follow us at Iconic Nation Media and send us a direct message and comment on some of our posts so that we can hear your feedback and incorporate them into our show. We appreciate you listening, and we look forward to catching you next week.